evening time after a pretty gentle day, really. I just had some client sessions and then also administration, which is never my talent, but I still do it, of course I have to. And I'm reflecting today about motherhood. I'm reflecting because one of the things that I find all the time in the work I do with people is the issue of loneliness or feeling alone when it comes to a mother-child relationship. And I kind of wanted to talk about it from two perspectives, because there's being a mum, a new mum, and finding your way with the baby, or even the work of being a mum at all times. I mean, once you are a mum, you're a mum for the rest of your life. And then there's the aloneness that can come. So there's the loneliness or feeling alone or isolated that can come from being a mum. And then there's the being alone or loneliness that comes as a child, as a daughter in my case, or as a son, or just a child of someone who, a child of a mother, And as I reflect often with my clients, and they go through their experience of being mothered by someone, I also promised that this would be a unedited sort of meanderings and wanderings about everything and nothing. But today I just felt the need to talk about this, and then we can talk about everything and nothing. I should say, how are you? How was your day? Is it evening time where you are? It's evening time where I am right now. So I've got the heater on so it's nice and cozy. And I have my lovely, I've not got a cup of tea, I've got a ginger, I've got fresh ginger and honey and warm hot water in this beautiful, beautiful porcelain mug. It's so gorgeous. Can you see the print on it? It's stunning. It's a little bit too hot for my precious, fragile little mouth. Anyway, so reflecting a lot about motherhood and the loneliness, let's talk about how that comes about. There's so many different ways. When I was a new mum to my beautiful eldest daughter, it came as a shock. She was a very, very wanted girl, and is. She's very wanted. We had infertility issues initially for years, and then she finally arrived, and she was a baby that cried a lot. And so I think that it felt like a baptism fire. It had a real sense of complete overwhelm, complete shock. And I just felt so alone, on my own in the hospital, up during the nights, at home. I just felt alone, and as if it was an insurmountable task. I love her and loved her and wanted her, and yet I was completely overwhelmed. And we don't talk about this enough. We talk about the joys of motherhood. When a baby comes along, we get all excited. We get excited, and everyone's full of like, yay, because they're so cute. But they're also, when you're responsible for them, it can be overwhelming. And so not many people talk about that. So I just wanted to say that out loud a bit. There's a wonderful book called The Mask of Motherhood. And I just think more and more women need to be aware that it's okay. It's okay to be overwhelmed and afraid and fearful that you won't be doing a good job. And because our society is so wired for, which is understandable, the joy of the birth and the arrival of a new life and all of these things, and a new member of the family, and everyone's like oohing and ahhing and gooing and garring, which is all appropriate because it is a celebration. But also, and I say this all the time as a therapist, two seemingly opposing things can be true at the same time. So it can be a joy and a wonder and all of those things. And it can also be hard and overwhelming, and can feel, so I think when it can feel too much, and like you won't be able to do it, and that we can't soothe the baby if they're crying. If they're crying a lot, their cry, when the mother hears the cry of her baby, we are wired to feel distress, to then want to attend to the baby. We're wired that way. So it's all biology and neuroscience. It's all how it's meant to be. But it doesn't make it any less difficult. So a lot of women are there alone. And that loneliness can continue on into the years too, in their experience of motherhood, particularly if they haven't got their own mother with them, or their mother, or they weren't mothered well themselves. It can be a lonely time, and so it's why it's important to have hopefully a creative family and supportive people around you and all of that. And if you are feeling alone as a mum, I think it's really important to, of course, I'm going to say reach out to professionals and talk to them. And then there's the loneliness that comes with being a daughter of a mum who may have loved us but didn't know how to love us well. And I see this with so many of my clients, and they're raised, or their mothers are women who honestly did their version of their best job, but it missed the mark. Or maybe it was either just missing the mark or right through to quite abusive, or somewhere in between. You know, as a mum, I feel like I've made so many mistakes, and and I always used to joke, but I was never joking. When I would run professional learning, like training with other educators, I would say, if my kids ever go to therapy, I'm going to write a list of all the things I've done wrong, so to give it to the therapist, so that they don't have to spend hours wondering what's happening and why I feel that way. Darling, you feel that way because of these mistakes that mum made. And I'll stand by that. I think it's really important to do that, So yeah, being a daughter of a mum who doesn't know how to love you well or look after you or nurture you, and being a son, of course, it's lonely. And you can feel very alone in your experience. And part of that is also, of course, a reflection of, we're wired for connection to our biological mother and our biological father. And if we don't get that connection, there is a space where that connection should have been. There's a space where that connection should have been. And so, of course, in the emptiness, there can be, when we observe the space where the connection should have been, where we observe the space where nurturing could have been, role modeling, comfort, we're going to feel naturally alone. There's our mother, here we are, and there is a space between us that you as a child can't do anything about, bridging that gap, because you're a child, in the situation. And it's always, as we get older, it's always the question is, does that person have capacity? Because if they don't have capacity, then you can't make them have capacity as much as you crave it and want it. So yeah, it's really interesting when I work with clients who don't have the mothers that they need them to be, and also how alone they feel when they look around and at their peers and they might see all these women with mothers, and they feel the deep ache that comes with not having the same. Yeah. That's a reflection from the last few days of therapy and real life. Been reflecting a lot about motherhood in this last week or so. It touches it's the essence of who we are. We're here because of motherhood, aren't we? Where we grew in someone's tummy. And if we're mothers ourselves, we know what that's like. For all that it has been and all the challenges, all the good it's been and all the challenges. So that's my meanderings and wonderings today. Less so about everything and nothing, and today about mothering. So be kind to yourself. If you are a mother, or you've been mothered, or not been mothered, if you're a child of someone who has struggled with motherhood and not known how to be a mother, be kind to yourself. If you're a new mother, be kind to yourself. You will struggle. It is hard. And the lucky ones have support. The lucky ones have support. Life's fun, isn't it? Be kind to yourself, and where you can, find the joy. What do you think? Does anyone agree? That's my evening wanderings. My mind meandering along a road that I've been traveling a lot lately in the last week. Yeah. Mothering. It's as beautiful as it is complex.